A panel discussion should be a conversation, not a ping pong match between the panel moderator giving a question to a panelist, answering, and then lobbing another question to another panelist. There should be a conversation. You should be able to get people talking. I'm Kristen Arnold. I'm a professional panel moderator and a leading authority on panel discussions. And in this video, we are going to be talking precisely about that because you want a panel discussion, not a ping pong match. Let's find out how. So here's the problem. Most panelists have been conditioned for years that panel discussions are ping pong matches where the moderator lobs a question and it gets answered and then it gets lobbed in another way. I was talking to a lady who's been on many panel discussions, and when we were talking about this, she goes, I didn't know I could have a conversation. I mean, she literally didn't know that she goes, I could do that? Absolutely. In this video, we are going to be talking about how you as the panel moderator can get people to get out of that conditioned space of panel ping pong into something that is much more conversational and relatable to the audience. Let's dive right on in. To get your panelists to understand that this is a panel discussion and not panel ping pong, I suggest that you adopt a conversational drumbeat. There are 5 different times that you want to reinforce this conversational drumbeat. And it is your job to reinforce that. Even though you think you've said it way too many times, trust me, you have not said it nearly enough because it has to sink into their head that you're looking for conversation, not just answers to questions. So let's talk about the first drumbeat. The first drumbeat happens even in the invitation. Look at the invitation. The way that it's communicated, is it very much factual, I'm telling you the information, or is it interesting and has kind of a prosaic, this is a conversation? It may even have in the body of the invitation that this is meant to be a conversation among smart, intelligent panelists. And so we encourage you to come prepared, bring your A game, however you want to phrase it. But it's actually written into the invitation that you are part of a conversation among smart people. Drumbeat number 2. During the prep call, there is an opportunity, whether it's a one-on-one prep call or a one-to-many prep call, there is the opportunity for you to reinforce the fact that this is a conversation. And you can model that to say, this is what ping pong looks like. And a conversation means I'm going to ask each of you a question. But if there's something that you're interested in that panelist is saying, go ahead and ask it. Or if you have a different idea, say, I'd like to add to that. By the way, always be additive and not repetitive. That you're like starting the conversation and tell them that's okay. It's expected. At first, people are gonna go, okay. If your meeting organizer is on that call, the sponsor, the person who's putting this together, you could also have that person reinforce their vision for the panel about how they envision that it's a discussion versus ping pong. Drumbeat number 3, during the meetup of the panel, you can reinforce. Now, you might be doing that over breakfast or lunch or a cup of coffee or something, but reinforce it and actually provide a little bit more specificity than you've done in number 1 and number 2. So number 3, you could go into it a little bit more detail. Like, I'm going to ask a question. Feel free to ask a question of your fellow panelists, or to dive deeper, or to add, or challenge them even. That's always the interesting one. Challenge them, but challenge them with curiosity and not like I'm right and you're wrong. Okay, so I always like to add that piece a little bit at this drumbeat. Are you getting a sense for how these collective drumbeats kind of like shift people's conditioning that this is going to be a boring, ping pong match into a real conversation? If you've gotten some ideas, I invite you to like this video and maybe even subscribe so that you are notified of any of our latest videos that come out with lots of great ideas. Drumbeat number 4 is right before the panel. Everybody's assembled like 15, maybe 30 minutes ahead of time. They're getting mic'd up or prepared. They're scoping out their furniture and stuff. Remind them about the agenda. Remind them about any ground rules that you're putting in place for any of the Q&A, or maybe you're doing some fun activities and those always have some kind of particulars to them. But you also want to reinforce at this point, remember folks, this is a conversation, not a ping pong match, and they'll roll their eyeballs and you might be thinking you've been saying this way too often, but trust me, you haven't. Finally, drumbeat number 5 is actually in your opening remarks on the panel, where you're talking to the audience about their expectations for the panel. You can say, this is meant to be a feisty, interactive panel discussion where we're going to be asking the hard questions around our topic. So you've teed it up that it's a discussion. You don't have to say, this is going to be a discussion versus a ping pong match. No, what you do is you weave that conversational language into your conversation. The other thing that I would highly recommend is that as you're talking with the audience, is you use the word we versus I. I as the panel moderator, the panelists. No, we're a collective we in the room. And sometimes you might even invite the audience to come participate in the conversation. So those are the 5 drum beats of a panel discussion. You know, there is a lot more information on this in my free 7-part video course that you can access at www.howtomoderateapanel.com. I hope to see you there.